Hello, everyone, and welcome to Randstad RiseSmart's Career Podcast, helping you transform your everyday work life into an exciting and rewarding career. I'm your host, Kimberly Schneiderman. With 10 plus years experience in coaching, writing, and training, I'm passionate about delivering ideas, insights, tools, and resources to people like you, people focused on achieving their career goals. Together, we'll explore how you can identify your career passions, set your career goals, and achieve everything you work toward in your career. And this podcast is for everyone, no matter where you are in your career journey. You might be a graduate fresh out of college, or you may be a professional with several years of experience. Whether you are new to your field or a manager or executive, you will find valuable information in this podcast. Each of the ideas we present is for you, about you. Throughout this podcast, you will hear career advice, inspiration, strategies, and stories from many experts, including the very coaches that work with the participants of Randstad RiseSmart's Work-Life Coaching Program, offered by companies around the world. Our experts are career industry practitioners with deep experience in HR and corporate leadership. They are seasoned coaches in the area of career growth, workplace communications, succeeding in a current role, enhancing work satisfaction, managing priorities and stressors, building a personal brand, and strengthening valuable internal networks. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to this podcast and share it with your colleagues. You can also follow me at KJ Schneiderman on Twitter or on YouTube on the RiseSmart Career channel. Better yet, sign up for coaching services on the Randstad RiseSmart portal so that you can benefit from everything we talk about. Now, on with the show. Welcome, everyone, to today's podcast. Today, we are joined by Charmagne Shearrill. Charmagne is a coach with RiseSmart's Work-Life Coaching Program, leveraging her career experience in education in HR and coaching. For more than 8 years, Charmagne was an adjunct faculty member teaching HR management for University of Redlands graduate and undergraduate programs. She's also a valued veteran of the U.S. Air Force. And Charmagne, welcome to the show. We are thrilled to have you here.
Oh, Kimberly, thank you so much. I am so excited to be here with you today. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. And I look forward to getting to know you and learning from you as we dive into today's topic. And today we're talking about being successful in your current role. So our goal is to help our audience understand what success looks like for themselves and how they can amp things up when necessary to truly shine in their current role. So Charmagne, are you ready to get started?
I'm ready.
All right, that sounds great. So where do we start with this? If I am in my job, I've been in my job for a while, but all of a sudden I have some awareness that I want to start kind of amping things up or setting goals. Can you get us started in terms of where do we start?
Well, I think you start within yourself. That's the first place to start. What is it that you're wanting to do? Where do your interests lie? What skill sets do you currently have? And are there some things that you need to do to upskill? And if you're going to upskill, where do you go to get those skills? The great thing about living in the era that we live in now with technology is that you can teach yourself, learn things from a variety of resources. I come from a time where, we didn't have technology at our fingertips to be able to learn things. So now you can, Google has classes, LinkedIn Learning has classes, Udemy has classes. Heck, you can go on YouTube and learn some things. So there are a variety of ways that you can upskill, but knowing yourself and what it is you want to do, what your interests are, what your goals are, both short and long term. Thinking about those things first before launching into, this sea of discovery, if you will.
Gotcha. So let's start to unpack some of what you said. And I'd love to start with the whole education and upskilling idea. You pointed out that with today's technology, we can really upskill on demand, doing anything we want. How do we start identifying what it is we can learn or should be learning in our current positions?
So I think a good place to start is to look around and see, if there's what needs are within your immediate organization, in your department, and seeing if there's a connection where the need and your interest to see if you can put those things together. So do your own research for yourself. If there is a software program that was introduced, and learning all that you can so that you can become an expert in that area, that would be helpful. So, are you a tech savvy kind of person? Some people are just really, really good at picking up different software. They can learn those things. Whatever that thing is, finding that niche, something that aligns with your interests, because that's important.
Right.
To make sure that you're satisfying yourself and you're growing personally and professionally, but in whatever you do.
And then what about knowledge gaps? Like, sometimes in my role, I've been able to see that, coming soon is going to be this trend, or here and now is a trend, and I need to be able to respond to that. How do I take that into account when I'm thinking about what I might want to learn?
Well, to your point where you said, just doing research, finding out, okay, what is coming down the pipe? Is that something I'm going to be able to learn to do? Is the company looking for volunteers? Oftentimes, especially if they're launching something new, integrating a new ERP or something along those lines, they may be looking for people within the organization that can help with that. And so being willing to volunteer, yeah, you know what? I'll do it. I would love to be able to learn how to do that. That is very exciting, because while it may not lead to maybe a promotion or raise or anything moving up, but it's expanding your knowledge. To your point, you didn't even know you had that skill gap. You didn't even know there was an interest for you, but it's like, you know what? I think I want to learn how to do that, because if it's something that I'm going to be able to utilize either within my current role, or maybe sometime, or just because I have an interest in it, why not step out there and volunteer?
Sounds great. And I like that idea, applying things that are happening within the company or within our positions to ideas for learning and upskilling. And as you pointed out, we can upskill with YouTube, with, I guess, formal education. What are some of the other platforms that you can use to upskill or reskill?
I hear a lot of people say they've taken courses, through Google. They're taking courses, LinkedIn Learning. Many organizations offer LinkedIn Learning to their employees. They buy a licensure and you can just go. And I mean, you could take just about anything through LinkedIn Learning. There may be some courses at the local community college that you can take. For me, where I live, there's a fantastic community college here in town, and they also partnered with other organizations providing training for them. So tapping into that and seeing, okay, what can I learn? Right now with the economy being what it is, if you can learn something at low or no cost, by all means, look into that. So, going back to doing your research, seeing what's out there, seeing what's available. The great thing is you can just sit on your computer and, how do I learn how to do X? And the next thing you know, you have all of these links popping up. Now, be careful what you click. But, reputable companies are providing all kinds of training. Some of them will offer discounts. So explore it, and also, if I might add, find out if your company, if there is a cost associated with it, will they pay for that? Many of them will. They would love to be able to invest in their employees. If you want to take that course, sure. We have a budget for that. By all means, go for it.
So for our listeners that are thinking about other ways to be successful in their role, thinking about setting personal goals, maybe getting involved in projects that don't necessarily have to do with having to learn something new, where do you suggest that they start?
Well, first of all, having a conversation with your immediate supervisor, your manager, or whoever is in your chain of command, if you will, a military term that comes to mind. But sitting down, having a conversation, looking around and seeing, if there is a need. You may very well have a skill and the ability to be able to fit a need that's within the organization. Maybe they're having a staff meeting and the supervisor talks about, we need someone to take on this project. It's huge, but I don't have the time. Again, as I said before, volunteering is like, I know how to do that. I did that before in my last job. I learned that in school. Wherever you have mastered that skill, you would be able to help your organization, help your supervisor. So at that point, after the meeting, asking, can you have a conversation with them? So I would love to be able to either lead that project or work on the team that's involved with that project, and tell them I've done it, give them a little bit of history about your background. Don't assume that your supervisor knows about your background,
Right.
knows what you do in your current job. They probably have never done it before. And, they just might not know all of your special talents. It doesn't mean that they don't care or they're not interested. They just don't know because it has never been shared with them. So you have to go and tell them, and you may be pleasantly surprised to find out that they're like, oh, that is great, because I was just sitting here trying to figure out, okay, how are we going to get this done? Where am I going to find somebody that knows how to do this? And then you walk in their office. You have just become their angel. And so now you have an opportunity to show what you can do. You've taken this task, this responsibility, you're willing to take it on. Your supervisor trusts you, respects you, and is willing to let you run with it. So, that's a win-win for everyone.
And with that in mind, how do you propose if you do have a big idea, if you're not the one volunteering for something new, but you're the one coming to your manager with a new idea that's kind of big, what do you suggest you do?
Rather just going in and I got this great idea that I want you to implement. Be prepared. First of all, know the person that you're working for. How do they like receiving those ideas? How do they learn? How do they hear? Are they more strategic? Are they more tactical? What kind of person is this? There are some folks who will appreciate just sitting down, brainstorming an idea. Hey, boss, I got an idea. Can I run it by you? And you guys just sort of sit down and you brainstorm and you put stuff on the whiteboard and you're having a good time. That's one kind of manager. Then there's the other. It's like when you go in there, you better have everything lined up. You've done the budget. You've done forecasting. You've done all the things you could possibly think to do to present this idea, with the hope that they're going to buy into it. Because some people are like, they're show me people. You need to show me how this is going to benefit the organization. What's the ROI, the return on investment, in us spending the time, energy, and money in this? So it's not that they're not interested, but you just can't sit down and kick your feet up on the desk and let's just think and talk this through and see how this come out. That's not going to work. So know who you're reporting to, know the type person they are, how they want to receive this information so that you can get buy-in. Because at the end of the day, the important thing is you want to be able to leave that office or that conference room with them saying, you know what, I think this is a great idea. They may need to take it up to another level. And with that, they will be able to use the information that you've provided them with so that they can go and sell this idea to get it funded if funding is needed.
Yep. Yeah, I'm thinking about certain projects that need to be laid out in a spreadsheet with the many different tasks associated with the projects and the responsible people, if indeed it requires a lot of other people's involvement, or just simply showing that you understand what it might be like to take on a project like this and to lead it, and to demonstrate to your manager that you really have given it a thorough look and done the research and can tackle each and every step along the way. That's great.
You may not think of everything because you don't know what you don't know, but actually being open to, okay, if being able to pivot, okay, so if that idea doesn't work, what's the backup plan, for that? So trying to think through as many things as possible as you implement or try to have the organization implement this idea.
Gotcha. That does sound great. Thank you. Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. If you would like to connect with one of our coaches, log into your Randstad RiseSmart portal and locate the coach profile. Each coach has a wealth of knowledge and expertise for you. Now, back to the show. When we're thinking about maybe expanding our duties, taking on more in our current role, where should we start our thinking with that? Something's really stirring in us that it's time for change. It's time for something. Can you take that from there?
If I could share a story.
Oh, please.
Okay. So in my former life, as the CHRO at an art school, I had an HR manager who was very, very interested in learning more about benefits administration. Around about that time, probably a few years before the Obamacare Affordable Care Act had come into existence. And so if you know about benefits, people who know that when that was implemented, it came with a host of compliance issues that if you didn't meet them, it's going to cost the employer literally hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I know because I got an invoice for it, almost knocked me out of my chair for $900,000 because our vendor at the time wasn't reporting the information correctly. So after getting a couple of those, we were able to resolve it because, the information was just not reported correctly. It's like, okay, we have to do this ourselves. And so our HRIS system actually implemented a tool where we could track it ourselves. It's like, okay, we're going to bring this in-house because I can't keep getting these $900,000 bills and giving it to my controller. And both of us, laying out on the ground wondering, oh God. And so because she was so interested in learning more about benefits, it's like, okay, what do you think about taking this on? She was so incredibly excited about doing this. Not only did she implement the software working closely with the IT team, she also then contacted the IRS because our system had to be able to speak with their system so that the information could be uploaded correctly. And then she also took on the next task of making sure that these 1095 forms that the government said you had to sent them out to 1,500 employees or benefit people who are on our benefit plan, making sure that they got that information in a timely manner. And so for her, it added to her toolkit, to her knowledge. It certainly did help me because there was no way, I didn't have the bandwidth to do this myself. And it saved the company hundreds of thousands of dollars. So, it was a benefit for all of us. And she then became the expert, the go-to person, about the 1095s, about Affordable Care Act. So I was able to help her expand her knowledge as a benefits administrator. But what she did for the company in saving us money, it was invaluable. So, that's one way of, really, again, seeing the need, tapping into your own interests, thinking about the things that you're wanting to do to expand your role, your responsibilities, and your knowledge. And so it's a win-win on both sides.
So what she did was kind of twofold. She, let you know what her workplace and career goals were. And that allowed you to go to her with a tremendous need that you had. And she became the solution. She became the one person that knew everything. That's amazing.
I cannot tell you how much, because I was trying to do it myself. So I was working nights and weekends trying to get this thing implemented. And of course, with the government, you have these deadlines. It's like, okay, something's got to give. So she was a godsend to me, wanting to do this. And she just had this, how you meet people that just were like a sponge. They just want to learn, give me more. I'm good. I can take this. And so that's the kind of person she was.
That sounds like a great combination. Something you needed exactly at that time.
Oh, yes, for sure.
So for the listeners in our audience that are just starting new jobs, either moving from one role in the company to another role, or maybe they're newly hired into a role, how do they start with a fresh perspective in their jobs and concentrate on being successful?
I think for new people coming in, whether it's into the company as a whole, they've never been there before, or moving into a new department, becoming a student of that department, that company, really taking the time in the first several months to learn the lay of the land. not try to come in being a know-it-all. I mean, I know we sometimes thinking, oh, well, I want to know that show that I'm smart and that I know things. And listen, they probably figured that out if you're new, because that's why they hired you. But it's a good idea to just sort of sit back a little bit, learn the culture of the organization, learn a little bit about your coworker, how things are done. There's that ever-present, well, we've always done it this way. And you may come in and have some really great ideas about how you can do something better, faster, smarter. But you also have to think about whose toes might I be stepping on with all these great ideas. And so, they'll tell you, we want somebody with all the great ideas, but really being sensitive to how you're going to implement those, how you're going to make those suggestions, learning, talking with coworkers, getting to know people, figuring out how your manager works. Because, when you're in an interview, that's the honeymoon period, to be honest with you. But then after a few months, then, they start to see who you are, you start to see who they are. And, it's really trying to figure out, how are we going to make this relationship work? So my suggestion is, take your time, learn the organization, listen intently, be careful in offering up opinions and things in the beginning, unless someone comes right out, we really, really, really want to know. But if you can, just sit back and observe for a bit, and you will find your way to work, how to work with your new boss and your new coworkers so that is successful. The worst thing that could possibly happen, you enter into an organization and 90 days in, you're thinking, this is not working. So, it's okay to take it slow. It's okay to take it slow.
Charmagne, you hit on a lot of great markers for, somebody just getting started in a new role. Let's talk a little bit about something that you touched on, which is relationships in a position. So, whether you are new or you've been in a job for a very long time, how do we develop relationships and build relationships that are going to be valuable to us as we're trying to be successful?
Thank you for the question. I think it's really just, being open and honest about who you are, and allowing people to get to know you, so then they feel comfortable with you getting to know them. It really needs to be a give and take. Going outside the organization, who are those individuals that are the go-to people? Every organization has that go-to. If you want to know something, go ask Kimberly.
Yep.
She knows where to go. And if she doesn't know, she's going to figure it out. And so finding those individuals that you can be a thought partner with, throughout the organization, somebody that you can maybe sit down and share those ideas that you have, practice, as we talked about, a few moments ago, being able to present an idea to your boss. Is there someone within the organization that you respect and trust? You trust their opinion, they're going to be honest with you, that you can brainstorm with. So finding those brainstorming partners who can help you with exploring these new ideas. And someone that, if you are given the opportunity to lead a project or be on a project, asking them, hey, because I know that Charmagne has some great ideas, let's invite them into this project, because I think that they will be an asset to it. So just really nurturing and building those bonds and those relationships within the organization.
Absolutely. You've touched on so many things that I found valuable today. Just the idea of researching before you launch into either proposing something to your boss or deciding what courses you want to take to upskill or reskill, and researching to understand who else in your organization might have something to offer to you. I love that theme that came out in everything that you talked about. And at the beginning of this podcast, I said, where do we start? And you said you start within yourself. And that idea really resonated with me. Before I let you go, though, I do have one final question, and it's, what is a book that you're recommending to your clients right now, and why?
Okay, so I am reading Think Again, by Adam Grant.
Ah, of course.
Well, this is my nonfiction, because
Gotcha.
you have to have some fiction stuff too. This is my nonfiction. So I'm a little ways into it. And he's talking about thinking again.
Mhm.
And I just love the way he thinks. I love the way he writes, because it's very simple. But it really is, if we tie it to what we've just been talking about today, we have to rethink how we think things and how we do things. And for some of us, especially for somebody my age, and we might be embedded in doing things we've always done it this way. I think he says somewhere in this book, that's like the most dangerous statement that one can make is, well, we've always done it this way. Okay, well, let's think about doing it a different way and approaching it differently. Just because it has worked doesn't mean that doing it a different way isn't going to be as successful at that. So that's my nonfiction.
You presented so many great ideas to us today. We really appreciate it. Charmagne, we thank you. We thank our listeners. And if you would like to connect with Charmagne, she can be found on LinkedIn. Her name is Charmagne Shearrill, and that is CharMagne. Her last name is SHEARRILL. And she can also be found on the Randstad RiseSmart portal in the coaching profiles. She might be the perfect coach for you, so check out her profile. Everybody, thank you for joining us today, and have a wonderful week at work. Thank you. Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Randstad RiseSmart Career Podcast, helping you transform your everyday work life into an exciting and rewarding career. I thank our expert today and encourage you to tune in for our next episode, where we continue talking about how you can identify your career passions, set your career goals, and achieve everything you want to work toward in your career. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to this podcast and share it with your colleagues. You can also follow me at KJ Schneiderman, that's KJSCHNEIDERMAN, on Twitter or on YouTube on the RiseSmart Career channel. You can also sign up for coaching services in the Randstad RiseSmart portal, so you can directly benefit from everything we talk about.